So only boil your good quality brushes and do not boil a mongoose. That's my
No,
motto.
don't. No natural hair brushes. Do not boil those.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Spill the Paint, the podcast where we ask your favorite artists about all their studio secrets. Today, we have a very special episode because we have Courtney Bridges from Trekell.
Hi.
Hey!
Thank you for
Hi,
having me.
welcome. I'm so excited to pick your brain and ask all of the questions that everybody wants answers to.
Excited to answer those.
Awesome. We'll jump right in. So, can you start by sharing a little bit of the story behind the founding and the beginnings of Trekell Art Supplies?
Definitely. So the company was started in 1984 by the original owner, Brian Trekell, hence Trekell Art Supplies. It was his last name. He learned the art of brush making when he was in his early 20s. He was traveling the world, and he said that he just kind of randomly hooked up with some people that were like, "Hey, we need help in our paintbrush factory. Are you interested?" And he was like, "Sure, let's do this." And learned how to make brushes. Traveled from multiple Asian countries and just kind of grew working with this company, working with that company. And then he finished his journey by going to Germany, and he got certified as a master brush maker, and then came back to the States. And this was in the early 80s when acrylic fingernails were just starting to take off. So he started his business actually started out making acrylic fingernail brushes private label for a bunch of the big beauty brands. So that was probably the first 10-15 years of the business was him doing the beauty supplies. And then in the early 90s, he did start the Trekell art brushes, and it was a very small part of the company. They got a little bit of traction, but the beauty supply was it was huge. It was booming. So it just took most of the attention. And then I started working here in the early 2000s, left for a little bit, came back. And when I came back, Brian had given me the task of, hey, we have these artist brushes, see what you can do with it. And was like, all right, I'll give it a shot, and did what I know how to do best, which was social media, and started reaching out to artists on there back in the MySpace days. And that's how I met our first pro team artist, Greg Simpkins, was through MySpace. And he was, very interested in the brand, and wanted to discuss more, and asked if we ever thought about sponsoring artists. And we were like, no, we've never done that before. So he was the first one that we sponsored, and added artists from there. And Greg was actually the one that also was like, hey, if you guys are looking to expand, you should also make wooden canvases. If you come down to my dad's house, I'll show you how he does it. So yeah, Greg's dad showed us how to make the cradle panels. And then from there, it just kind of turned into people asking if we offer this shape, that shape. And now, if you're familiar with our brand, you see that we offer all different kinds of crazy shaped canvases on our website. And it is all just because of the artists that we work with and listen to, that they've just given us so many ideas to get the brand where it is today.
One of the things I really love that you pointed out is that it started as a beauty supply company when it comes to brushes. And I see a lot of artists right now that say, oh, I use, beauty brushes, makeup brushes instead of like real brushes. And I'm thinking, you should just use Trekell brushes because it's technically where they started and became artist brushes. So it's gone.
Yes,
Let's
yes,
reverse engineer this strategy.
yes, definitely. There are some makeup brush brands out there that are really expensive, so you may as well buy an artist brush. But yeah, whatever gets the job done, I'm all for it.
Can you walk us through the process of creating an actual brush? Because
Yep.
I buy a lot of brushes, but obviously I don't make brushes. So I'm kind of
Yeah.
curious about, the process of how the brush is actually created.
The way we did it was we would get bundles of the filament. So it depends on, what kind of brush you're getting, a Kolinsky brush, golden Taklon, but it would come in a bundle. And then the head makers would separate out how much hair that they needed. And they would,
Okay.
put it,
What is a head maker?
a head maker. They are the people that make the brush head. So
That's a
yeah,
that's a
that is
job. It's an actual
that is
job.
the title. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, so they would separate out the hair, put it in the ferrule, and they slide the hair in and out of the ferrule to make sure it's either tight enough or not too loose. And they'll either remove hair or put more in there to make sure it fits properly. Once they stuff the ferrule, they would take the hair back out, put it in a cup that's shaped a certain way. They'd put the hair in there, and then they tap it So it drops all the filament down. So you get that rounded shape that a brush has, that natural, point that comes to it. And then they tie the hair off while it's in the cup. So when they pull it out, it stays in the shape that it's supposed to be in. And then they take that and put it back into the ferrule. And I tried to do this before. I tried brush making it. It was not not for me, but I did do the part where after the hair was back in the ferrule, they would have to put it in these racks, and then you would shoot glue into the back side of the ferrule so it would hold the brush hair in there. So I would glue the hair into the brushes. They would dry overnight, and then you had the head. Like, I should have a brush right here so I can show you what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So yeah, the glue comes to about right here the next day, and then you put it on the handle, stick it into this crimping machine, and it crimps the ferrule onto the handle so it stays onto the brush. And then you could do the printing of the name before or after the head's on the brush. But yeah, that's the whole process right there.
This is so amazing. Okay, I didn't know that head maker was actually a job, and I
Yes.
feel like you would need really specific qualification to kind of get that job.
You can learn. Brian got the certification as a master brush maker, and then he trained the head maker here. I don't know if the technical term should be brush maker or head maker, because they only did the heads of the brush. They didn't make the
Right.
whole thing. But he trained her, and then she would train anybody new that came in. So it was really hard. I definitely admire them, because it was a tedious job and it was really hard. There's definitely a lot of work that goes into making a brush.
How do you decide which new item to release? I know panels probably comes from the artist request, or maybe not, but what about
Mhm.
like brushes? Because I feel like it's quite a technical
Yeah,
field.
we definitely. I'm trying to think the last time we released a new brush, but even like if we're going to release that, it's always because an artist requested it. Like, hey, I'm buying this type of brush from another brand, but I would prefer to buy it from you. This is what I use it for. We do a little research, send them samples, and if they say, yeah, this is what I've been looking for, then we'll release that line of brushes. We love doing the limited edition brush sets with the artists.
Yeah, it's like pre-curated
Yes.
brushes, right?
And they get to pick the colors that they want and the packaging, and it's always so much fun to put those together.
So you told me a little bit about the idea or how you started selling panels. How did you know that it would be popular or a good match to the brush business?
We definitely did not know it. We just went in hoping that it would work out. So, yeah, the thing with making them in house, it's like it was a small investment. It's not like we were buying them from overseas, and there's minimums of 500 per size. So we were able just to start small and see how it went, and it took off and did really well from there. But I think once we started adding in, like, I think the coffin might have been one of our first shapes that we made outside of a standard rectangle, and seeing that take off was like, oh, okay, we're onto something. People want different. They want something that you can't go out and buy in the store anywhere. Something that's just super fun, unique. So that's what did it for us.
That makes sense. And also I think that's really great to have like seasonal panels, because you have something new, and it's exciting, I think, for the artists, but also for the collectors to get something else that, a square or maybe sometimes a circle.
Yes,
Um,
yeah,
I have a question that's a bit more technical. So, um, synthetic brushes versus natural hair. Is there a difference in like the technology? What about like synthetic brushes? Like, how do we know they don't melt when we wash them? So I only
yeah.
use synthetic brushes because I feel like they are softer and they work better for my practice. Maybe you can talk a little bit about the difference between the two for people that are not that familiar with the offerings.
Yeah. So obviously, animal hair comes from an animal. The process to get that hair to be able to use it, there's a lot of washing, because they got to get all the animal fat off the hair, baking it. Yeah, there's a huge process into it, separating out the different lengths of the hair and putting those into different bundles. That's why a natural hair brush will cost a lot more than a synthetic. The process is a lot more daunting. So with synthetic brushes, is the filament comes from the same factories that make your toothbrushes. It's the same, yeah, it's the same material, but it is just processed differently. The brushes we get are chemically processed, because if you look at a toothbrush, all the filaments are just flat, blunt at the end. So with a synthetic artist brush, you want it to have that taper like a natural hair animal brush. So there is a process to treat it so it does get that taper on it. And then depending on, like, our Legion brushes are a synthetic mongoose. So there's a dyeing process that goes into that to make it look like a natural hair mongoose brush. So that's why, honestly, that's why the Legion brushes cost a lot more than the other brushes, is just because of the process to dye the hair to make it look like a natural hair
Oh,
brush. Yeah, yeah,
oh,
it's
I
kind of
love
funny.
that.
Yeah. So and then the other thing with our brushes is they have they're heat treated and they're baked in an oven. So the thing is, like you just talked about, synthetic brushes, they want to start curling and not splaying out and things like that. If you take our brushes and put them into lightly boiling water, because they have heat memory, that'll bring it back to that point. So yeah, we've done tests in house. We've done it with like Zoe and Kate, and yeah, you just dip it in the water, and then we put the brush restorer in it just to
Mhm.
give it that extra hold. But yeah, it'll pull the hair back into the natural shape that it first came in. Yeah, so our brushes will last longer if you take care of them. I know it's daunting, but I mean, if you just set up a quick little assembly line of dip the brush in here, put some brush restorer in it, you have new brushes again.
What? Okay, my
Yeah.
mind is like, I
Yeah,
did
it's
not
super cool.
know that, but that
Yes,
that is amazing. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it first. Just put your brushes in boiling water. That's
yes, yes,
awesome. I didn't
yeah.
know
So
that.
yeah, so just with our synthetic brushes, but you don't want to do that with a natural hair brush. If you were talking about, the hair melting, depending on what kind of mediums you're putting in your brushes, if they start melting because of some sort of chemical that was used on them, you can't bring that back because now you've changed the whole makeup of the brush by melting it. So that would be harder to bring back to a point, but still worth a try.
Right. So only boil your good quality brushes and do not boil a mongoose. That's my
No,
note.
don't. No natural hair brushes. Do not boil those.
How are the products tested before release? Let's say you have a new product, specifically, let's say brushes. How do you test them?
We send those off to our artists as well and ask for their feedback. Multiple artists will be like, "Hey, tell us what you think of this," because we were contemplating bringing on new brushes from a different vendor. The artists tested them out and they were like, "Don't do it." And I was like, "All
Mhm.
right." So we just backed off. We rely heavily on our pro team to test out our product and give us feedback. I find it to be actually pretty useful to have people outside the company because they will tell you the truth and they have nothing to lose from being like, "Hey, this is garbage. I don't think you guys should be, selling this kind of stuff." So
Yeah.
that's how we do it.
What is
Yeah.
your favorite product personally
Favorite product. Oh, that is a
across
hard one.
the line? Like, could be product, can be brushes,
Yeah.
could be canvases.
Ooh, I don't think I've ever thought this one through.
Hmm.
Oh, it's always changing because we're always coming out with something new, but I really do love our Gothic panel line. I think that one is really fun. We try to come up with a new Gothic panel shape every year, but I mostly love seeing them obviously painted on. That's what does it for me. The rod panels are cool, but once we see the artist add something to those, it's just those ones get me really good. I love them.
I saw Map Graves do a tutorial how she add embellishment to all of her panels, and I was just so impressed. Like, it's
Yes.
really beautiful how she worked with your product and just embellish it and customize it to work with whatever she's doing. It's,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
magic.
that was really cool to watch her do. I didn't even know that that was possible. So, and she came to us with a, "Hey, can you make this custom shape for me?" And then she was, put it out there, embellished it, and then, "Hey, if you want to offer this to everybody, go for it." So I love that because those are the designs that she came up with that everybody else gets to paint on now.
Tricky question. What is your best seller? What is the Trekell best seller?
Golden Taklon brushes.
It is?
Yes, yep. Sure. The 6-inch Golden Taklon brushes are our top selling product.
Wow. Okay.
Yes,
You
yes.
know, my favorite product is not, so I use all of your brushes and I use some of the panels, but my favorite product that I always purchase from you guys, even before I started getting my brushes there, was your brush soap. Like, I
Oh,
talk about it
nice.
all the time. I'm obsessed with the linseed soap, like the one that comes like in a little can.
Yes.
Obsessed with it.
Oh,
Like,
I love that.
it's the best product in the whole world. I tried every single brush soap that my art store offers, like, the pink soap, this other one that come in a
Yeah.
little can plastic one. I tried all of them. No, your soap is freaking the goat. It's
Yeah.
amazing. It's
Awesome. I
amazing.
love hearing that. Wow. So what differs from it from other brands? Like what do you notice?
It cleans the paint of the
So
brush.
other soap does not get the paint out.
I just feel like it just does it so easily. And I'm roughing my brushes, and sometimes I let them dry for a while. Like I'm just gonna be like, yeah, it's gonna stay there for half a day, and then it starts getting a little crusty. And I feel like your soap just remove all the paint. I feel like it's easy. You just go under the like hot water, and I just rub a little bit of the soap on the brush, and I don't know, it just works more than any other soap that I used before. And it could be because of my technique, it could be because of the oil that I use. I don't know what it is, but your
Mhm.
soap is just
Well, awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that.
chef's kiss.
That's another top selling product. It's not the golden tackle, but it is up there. Our soap in our brusher store, people love it.
This is for my curious mind. What does the factory look like? Like, especially when you made like brushes in a house, or
Yes,
even for the panels, or even for the soap. Is there someone like pouring little soap in little cans? Like, how is it
there
done?
is. So what we did, we had a section just for the brush making. It would go the head makers and then the gluing station, and then where they would put the starch into the brush hair to hold it into shape. Then that would go into the assembly where you'd put the handle into the brush, and then that would go to the crimping machine, and then that would go to packaging. So it really was just a full assembly line. The wood shop is across the parking lot from us, but it's its own warehouse. It has the CNC router in there. It has a huge vacuum system set up. It has everything for the cradled panels, and it's then we also have a separate room in there for priming the panels. So the wood shop is its own department. It's super messy, and we have one person in there doing all of it, and she is awesome. She kills it over there. So shout out to Nikki in the wood shop.
Wow,
And
I'm
then yeah,
impressed.
yeah, she's awesome. And then the rest of the factory now is just shipping and receiving for the most part. So we have the employee out there that prints the orders and then goes through and picks everything, puts it in a bucket, puts that to the shipping table, and then all those orders go out. For the soap and restore, whenever we do need to make those, we have giant tables out there, and it's just a soap making process for the day. And she sets all the tins out, makes the soap, and while it's still hot, she goes through and pours it in all the little tins, and then it cures overnight. And then we put the little stamp in it the next day and package them up.
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm geeking out right now because I'm such a art nerd when it comes to like product and how things are done behind the scenes. So I just feel like it would be a giant Harry Potter wand store type setting in my head where like the true magic
Yes.
happen.
Oh, I we get that a lot because Kate's always like, I know you think it's boring there, but it is so fun to come to the factory and check it out. And it's like I've been here for over 20 years, so I've seen it all, and I'm just like, yeah, whatever. But I forget it is actually a pretty cool process when things are made in house and you get to come and see it in action.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Have you ever seen something, one of your product used in a way that you never thought it could be used for before?
You can see right there the dog
Yes.
sticking out. That is our panel, and Kate, put a sculpture on it. So it's, I never thought that our panels would have sculptures on them. So that's cool. That's cool to see. I love seeing when people do biography on our panels. I didn't know that that was even a thing for a while. So seeing that done, but never anything that's like, I can't believe they did that. The creativity is amazing, though. I have to give the artists that they do come up with some really unique ideas for the panels.
Could you tell us a little bit about how the concept of the pro team came about?
I'm gonna have to put Greg on payroll if we keep bringing up these questions because that was another Greg idea. But yeah, it really was his idea. He was like, "Hey, like I follow skateboarding, BMX brands, and they all have these pro teams. What do you guys think about assembling something like that?" And I was like, "All right, yeah, let's try it out." So it was him, Dabs Mila, William Whitaker, and Glenn Arthur were our first pro team artists, and there was really no like guidelines. It was just like, all right, yeah, these are artists that we sponsor, and we would just make a set with them every once in a while and just hang out, talk. But it wasn't as curated and structured as it is now. Now there's definitely guidelines and expectations set, and it works out better for us and for the artists as well because we were pretty lax with that at first, where it was like, just do what you want, just send us video. You guys are creative, you come up with things on your own, but come to find out the artists were actually like, can you please tell us what to do? And now it's like, okay, these are the things we need from you, pick and choose what you guys can do. And now it's a more balanced relationship. And I think everybody's happy with it.
Yeah, we live in a world where as soon as you have a small business or you're self-employed, you also become such a content creator, right? It is just kind of the way the world works right now, where you need to do your own marketing. And then we have that social media option to put ourselves out there. But I do understand it can also be a challenge for artists that are really focused on the creation process and might not be able to put their marketing hat on all the time. So I think it's
Yes.
also great to have like a partner that can tell you, this is the type of content you can do to help us and help yourself. Do you want to share a little bit what the criteria would be to select new artists to the pro team?
Definitely. We open applications every January so people can apply. The criteria, it varies from artist to artist because we know that all artists work in a different way. And sometimes maybe you're not big on social media and you're more into doing workshops. So that's going to always be top of the criteria for us is, how active are you in the art world and how well are you staying connected with everybody. And then after that, we want to make sure that it's a very diverse group of artists that we're working with. We don't want to ever just be pigeonholed into one type of art. So we're definitely looking for who's got a unique style that we haven't worked with yet, or we already have all these traditional portrait artists. Where are all of the lowbrow artists at? It depends on the roster every year. People come and go every year as well. So maybe an artist that was a traditional portrait artist fell off one year. We'll look to replace them the next year with somebody like that. And then I interview each artist personally, make sure that we have a connection, that we're going to work well together. I do ask, some follow-up questions just to make sure that we're on the same page, let them know what's expected, just making sure that you're able to work with us and we're able to work with you, and it's going to be a good relationship. But I'm curious, how does it feel being on the pro team? What are your thoughts on it?
It's great. First of all, obviously, I love being on the pro team. I think it's something that, so I was always aware that there was a pro team with Trekell, but I feel like it's almost, the first few times you apply to a gallery where you think, am I good enough? Am I ready? So I was aware of the pro team, but I never applied for it until, what is it, like a year and a half ago. I think it was one of those moments where I was like, I really love this brand. So it wasn't necessarily about the marketing or even the free brushes. It was really about partnering with a brand that I believe in. And yeah, so when I saw the call, I saw it on my social media. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to apply to this because I feel like value-wise, it's a good collaboration, right? It's
Yes.
really more about partnering with a company you believe in and that values align with yours, because that's kind of how I try to do my business right now. It's just I want to work with people that think like me or have similar values, right?
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, and I just like there's a sense of friendship with the other artists as well, like
Yes.
little group chats, and I feel like you can pick other people's brain, which once again I love doing.
Yes. Yes.
You know what I think Trekell has that other brands don't have? You guys almost have a cult following. That's the wording I'm going to use. Like, it's
Yes.
more than a brand. I feel like people that are into the Trekell brand are really into the Trekell brand. Like
Yes.
you get all in. Like it's almost like it's a cult. Like you're in the
Yes.
Trekell cult. And
Yes.
I'm thinking about, in the second episode of the podcast, at Maria Teicher on the podcast, and she's obsessed with you guys. Like she has like 50 of the same brush. Like she showed me her drawers, and it's all Trekell brushes. And I feel
Wow.
like I see that a lot with your brand more than I've seen with any other brands. Like people will talk, oh, I use this paint, I use this brush, I use Trekell. I use Trekell too. It became like this big thing, where
Yes.
people like just, I don't know, connect over the brand.
Yeah, definitely. We've noticed that as well, and I love it because I do want it to be more than just about product. You can get a good brush from a bunch of brands that are out there, but I feel like we offer a little something more than the other brands, where it is a lot of community and just working really closely with the artists and trying to bring them together. Like with the pet portrait competition that we do every year, I can't tell you how many times I've seen somebody comment that I discovered this artist from your pet portrait competition, and now we're talking all the time. They've become one of my good friends, and that's the kind of stuff that I love seeing with this, because yes, we're all in business to make money, but I want more from it. I want to feel good walking away from what we do here every day and seeing the connection in the community. I love working with the pro team and all of our little get-togethers that we do throughout the year. And if I'm traveling, make sure I meet up with them if I'm in their area. I really do love it.
Can you discuss some of your favorite collaborations that you've done with artists in the past or like currently?
Ooh, favorite collabs.
Yeah.
Well, we did the first brush that we did with Greg was really fun because he wanted to include a golden ticket with one of his brush sets, and whoever got that golden ticket, they won an original painting from him. So that was a lot of fun to do and see, because everyone just went crazy for it. A
You should bring
couple.
this back. I love it. You should bring it
Well,
back.
see, the thing is, we were very small in the art world, so we didn't get in trouble, but that is considered a lottery, and we're not allowed to do that. So, yeah,
Oh,
yeah, we can't do that anymore, unfortunately. It has to be anybody can buy without purchase, to be entered in a lottery like that. So, can't do that anymore. But
no. Oh,
that was,
darn
yeah,
you, Willy Wonka.
it was so cool. I'm looking at all of our protein sets that I have here in my office, but we used to do paint sets. We used to have our own brand of paint, but it did not take off. Paint is really hard to break into, so we don't do the paint anymore. But we did a really cool set with Dabs Mila a long time ago that I had fun putting together. Just I mean, we do a lot of brush sets, and they're all beautiful, and I love all of them. But the like paint sets or just random things that kind of stood outside of that, those are the ones that I have a lot of fun doing.
I love it. Um, do you have any feel good story about how Trekell impacted an artist's work or practice?
We do just hear all the time that I used to use really cheap brushes and supplies, and they just didn't know that a good brush can change a lot. There's an artist that we just added to the pro team that I can't announce yet, but they even said like this brush is a game changer. I had no idea. So just hearing that and knowing that, hey, yeah, our brushes do cost more than other brands that are out there, but there's a reason why they're legitimately good brushes and they help make your work a lot easier. I don't think that you guys are all talented. Like there's nothing that we can do to make your work any better. You guys are all awesome, but just being able to give you supplies to make your job easier, that's what I like to hear.
Well, I don't think, honestly, I really don't think your products are in the upper price range. I feel like they're really, really well priced and really competitive. And I've been using the mids
Mhm.
series, which is like the mid range, or I'm not sure how you would define them.
Yeah,
But I mean, they work for me and they're very, very affordable and they're short handle, which I really like.
yes.
Um, and they are very, very affordable. Like I think that the cheapest one starts around like $5.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
I
not
think I think when you're a beginning artist and you can go to, the big box chain stores and get a pack of brushes for $10,
right.
you're looking at one brush for $5 or $10, and you're like, why would I buy that when I could get 10 brushes for that price? So I think
Yeah.
that's where people are kind of like taken back by brush prices. But once you start becoming more seasoned and working with product more, you do start to understand, okay, like now I see why this costs more, and yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna take that dive and make the investment.
But I think it also depends how you work as well, right? Because if let's say you paint every day, you might be going through brushes faster. Also, if you're really nice to your brushes and you really wash them after each session, which, happen in an ideal world, they will last longer.
Yeah.
It's a pastime story. I bought brushes from another brand and they were very, 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 very pricey,
Mhm,
upper range. And I was like, I'm gonna be one of those artists that really take care of their brushes, and I'm gonna
mhm.
treat this brush like my baby. I'm gonna use it for years. No, no, that was, hundreds of dollars that went down the drain pretty
Oh
quick.
no,
Because
yeah.
I'm rough. Like I paint a lot. I put a lot of pressure on my brushes. I have a rough touch. So I go through brushes a bit faster just because of the
Mhm.
way that I work. And also, I'm not the best at putting everything away right away.
Yes.
Your brushes
Cleaning.
go in the freezer a lot.
All
Like,
right. Yeah, we hear that technique quite a bit. So
yeah,
if it works, what do it?
yeah, the brushes go in the freezer, and
Okay.
then when I have time to wash them, I'll wash them. So
Yes.
please,
Yeah. No, I don't give
I
it.
apologize.
I hate washing brushes too, so I can't fault anybody for it.
See, that's your next innovation. You need a brush washing machine
Yes.
or something
You
like
know,
that.
they have brush washers for makeup brushes. I wonder if it would work for
I
an artist brush.
know, you know what? I have one of those. I don't think it works because there's no friction. They just kind of move in
Okay.
water. And
Yeah.
well, it would work, I guess, for watercolor or maybe even acrylic, but with oil paint, when you wash your brush, I kind of want
You
like
have to.
I'm saying I'm doing this because I usually wash them in my hand. But you kind of want like the friction, right?
Yeah, you do need that to get the oil out.
Question.
Yes.
What sustainability practices does Trekell implement in its operation? It's a big question,
Ooh.
big corporate
So
question.
I know sustainability. So one thing that happened pretty quickly with the wood shop was that I noticed there was a lot of waste over there because if a panel just gets a little nick on it or it gets sanded the wrong way, you know, it's no good. We can't put it up on the website for sale. So that's why I started the imperfect panel section at the website. So as long as you're not having to pay full price for it, people are fine with the little imperfections here. So I didn't want to throw things away. I don't like that kind of waste. So that's where the imperfect panels came from. When it comes to our brushes, the water that they use for anything at the factory gets recycled. They are green with their energy. With the mids brushes, the factory makes sure each of the handles are FSC certified, which means that they are getting the wood from trees that are sustainable, that they can regrow very fast. Not they're not, you know, cutting trees down and not replanting them type of thing. The ferrules are recyclable. The ink and the paint that they put on the brush handles, they're compliant with the CPSIA and REACH standards. So that guarantees that the brush is safe for all users and applications. And then within the factory, they make sure that everything that they're doing there is sustainable when it comes to energy, recycling water, things like that. They're trying to make sure that they are also keeping up with the standards.
That's amazing. Actually, I use the mitts and I did not know any of that. So maybe I should be the mouthpiece for sustainability with the mitt series because that's my
Yeah.
favorite brush. I have like one right here on my desk. This one I murdered it, but they're all over my studio.
Awesome.
I was actually gonna ask, how do you source materials ethically for your product when it comes to like the panels?
So we get the wood from a local supplier here in California, and they are getting the birch from Finland,
Oh,
and that is all. Yeah, that is also birch or Baltic birch is also a very sustainable tree. Like they are able to cut it down, regrow it. It's not anything that, you know, deforestation or anything like that is happening.
oh, that's amazing. I'm learning a lot today and I love it.
Yes.
Um, what is your what is your favorite part of being the Trekell big boss? Or I'm gonna say Mama Courtney, because if you see it, it's your baby.
Yes, yes. You guys are my babies. This is gonna sound cheesy, but it really is you guys, the artists. Like
Aw.
I love working with you guys. I love hanging out. I love seeing what you're creating. It was an honor for me to be able to go down last week to LA and paint a mural with Allison Bamcat. I've always wanted to, yeah, I've always wanted to help. They always talk about how they have assistants, and I'm like, let me do it. And you don't have to pay me. Like, I legitimately just want to go and experience this. And I had,
You should not say that publicly because everybody's gonna get you to help them with their mural.
I know, right? Well, one of the pro team artists we just added, they're about to do a mural, and I'm like, please pick me. I want to go. And so it's so much fun to just be involved with this community and all the great things that are going on with it. So if it wasn't for you guys, it would just be another 9 to 5 job that doesn't really do much for me.
I feel like you're selling a job for Trekell now. Now I don't want to be an artist. I just want to go and work for you. That said, can you tell us some of the things that are gonna come up in the future? Can you talk to us about what Trekell is working on or few products that are upcoming in the future?
So we have 3 different protein brush sets in the work right now that would all be released this year. We are already working on the pet portrait panel for this year with one of the pro team artists being the judge that we haven't announced yet. We are trying to get into more retail locations. We just landed Blick last year and they took on our golden taklon brushes and now they're talking to us about panels. So we're hoping to get into more retail locations just because we do understand that it is kind of daunting and scary to buy art supplies online. You want to see, especially brushes. Who doesn't want to see those in person to buy them to know what this actual size and shape is instead of looking at a chart online with the measurements and having to figure out, is this the size that I need? So retail is big for us too. You know, what you and I just discussed, possibly redoing the website to make it a little more user friendly. Expanding the pro team. What else? There's events that I've always wanted to do that now that I have a coach that we can work with, possibly looking into doing more events.
That's amazing. And if, let's say I was an artist watching this podcast, what is one thing you would like people to know about the brand?
We're a lot smaller than people think. I've noticed that a lot. That people think we're this giant company. There are six of us here. It's a very small company. And the other thing that I want everybody to know is just honestly how much we just appreciate their support. Whenever we get those, DMs on Instagram or the emails that just, thank us for what we're doing, sharing your artwork with us, things like that. Like we really do like it. Yes, we get busy and it is hard to type out a very long email to everybody, but we do try to get back to all of you and let you know that we appreciate it and we love the support. And we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys. So we want everyone to just really know how much we appreciate them.
That's so nice. See, that's what I love about Trekell. I feel like you're really part of the scene. You're really kind of part of the artist community. I think
Yes,
that's so great. I feel like you're so close to us, right?
yes, yes. That's how we've grown to where we are, is just being really close with the artists. And you guys are employees even though you don't know it. Like you guys really help us understand what it is to be an artist and what you guys need from an art supply company. And I love you guys for that.
Aw, we love you back.
Well, thank you.
Do you get recognized if you go to an art event or people will be like, "This is Courtney from Trekell"?
No, usually it's only the artists that actually like know me work for me, but because I don't put my face out there too much on like the Trekell profile, no, they don't do
Right.
that. They
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think that's ever happened to me. I usually have to do the introduction of who I am and then I say Trekell and they're like, "Who?" And I'm like, "Trekell. Who? Trekell." "Oh, okay." I know who you're talking about now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what are all the ways that people have butchered the Trekell name?
It's usually just Trekell, but I mean, I've heard it pronounced both ways, so I don't think that there's a right or wrong way to say it. I know what you're talking about regardless.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
people butcher my name all the time, so
How is it pronounced? Is it Garant?
in French, it's Garant, like you gotta
Okay.
roll the R and the T is
Yeah.
silent, but I
Okay.
will I will accept variation of it. Like, I'll accept, like, Garant, it's good. I just don't like when people call me Grant, like, they skip the A.
Yeah.
You gotta
Yeah,
put a
yeah,
little
that's not even close.
you gotta put a little in there. If someone is interested in trying the Trekell products for the first time, what would be your product recommendation?
It's Our golden tackle brushes are our top seller for a reason, so I'm always going to recommend those. They're not a big investment. They work with every medium out there. They're like the perfect stiffness where they're not too soft but not super stiff like a bristle brush. And yeah, that's just what everyone's go-to is when they first come to us, is try the golden tackle brushes, and then you can kind of expand from there and start messing around with the different things. And then when it comes to panels, the wooden canvases I like just because it's raw. You can prime it any way that you want to make it work with your medium. So it gives you so much flexibility to put some gesso or some oil ground on it, adhere watercolor paper to it, use it for pyrography. Like, they're just super versatile. So I think starting with a raw panel and golden tackle brushes, and you will not go wrong with that.
Mm, I'll give you my list of my favorite.
Okay. Yes.
Brush soap, the linseed oil brush soap, you need it in your studio. It's like you need it.
Mhm.
Uh, Another product that I really love is the silicone wedge. I think they call it silicone brush, but they or tool. and they're
Mhm.
basically like a piece of silicone on a handle, but I love that for prepping canvases. I
Oh,
use
yeah.
mine all the time to gesso my canvases instead of a brush.
Mhm.
And when it comes to brushes, I do use the Mid series, but my favorite brush is the mop. I think it's Mop 6000. Uh,
Mhm.
you need a mop in your life. I think everybody needs
Yes.
a mop in their life.
You know what? I actually agree with the mop brush. Everyone needs one in their life. Those are fun brushes to work with. I love it.
Yeah, me too. They're so good, and they mimic makeup brushes. When I hear
Yes.
artists already working with, makeup brushes, just get yourself a mop and then
Yes. Yes. Exactly. Perfect for blending, and they're so smooth.
yeah, exactly. Like a
Yeah.
little baby brush. I love it. Thank you, Courtney, for being with us today. Do you wanna give us, if we wanna reach out Trekell, where can we reach you? Where can we shop? Where can we buy the products?
So if you're looking for our full line, that would be at our website, which is trekell.com. But you can also go to our store locator that's on our website and see if your local art supply store has some of our product. We are on Amazon, Etsy, eBay, wherever you can find us. Like we're all over the place. But I always say support your local art supply store. So if we're in one of those, please go over there and purchase Trekell and whatever else you can to help keep their doors open.
And what about on social media?
We are everywhere on social media too. Just type in Trekell and you'll find us. So yeah, Trekell Art underscore supplies on Instagram, and then same username on TikTok. We're on YouTube, Threads, what you name it, we're there.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Courtney, for everything, and, we'll talk soon, and I'll technically see you in my studio after this because 'cause I'll start painting with Trekell brushes.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Alex.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.